watching Let's Chat.
Marianne Eaves is the master blender behind Sweetens Cove Bourbon. We wanted to pick this conversation back up. Marianne Eaves, good morning.
Good morning, Chip. How are you?
I am doing very well. You are the master blender for Sweetens Cove, and most folks around here know Sweetens Cove as one of the preeminent golf courses in the country. And now you have come up with a preeminent bourbon to go along with that golf course. How did you come to be a master blender?
Well, my title is comes through experience being in the industry. So I have a chemical engineering degree from University of Louisville. Don't hold that against me. And I rose up through the ranks, actually working for Brown-Forman, the company that makes Jack Daniels and many other bourbons, and eventually striking out on my own, starting a distillery from scratch, and then again reinventing myself and getting into consulting. So I have this skill set that I could be a master blender as well as a master distiller.
One of the things that distinguishes Sweetens Cove, the bourbon, from a lot of others is you have, from what I've been able to understand, you were working with a limited quantity of bourbon to begin with, and you have to select, mix, match, taste, and make sure that this is the ultimate product that you were looking for. When you were doing all of that, what was in your mind's eye? What were you envisioning in the glass?
Something that was really balanced, and I knew that with a 13-year-old product, it was going to be heavily skewed toward the oak flavors, a lot of sweetness, a lot of that wood character, but this particular lot of 13-year-old bourbon had a lot of interesting complex notes as well. So I was able to make something that was very balanced with fruit and spice and floral notes, even with the sweetness and the oak. So at the beginning, I didn't really have a flavor profile specifically in mind.
Right.
I just wanted it to be complex and balanced.
All right. And one thing a lot of folks know, but many of you probably don't, is all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. Can you explain that difference for us?
Absolutely. So bourbon follows the rules to be a whiskey, but not all whiskeys meet all the standards that it means to make a bourbon. So all whiskeys in the world follow 4 rules, essentially. Must be made from grain, have to be distilled below 190 proof, have to go in a barrel with one exception, that's corn whiskey, and then have to be bottled above 80. And there is one country that's an exception to that as well. But for bourbon, there are several more layers and these regulations that, say, a Canadian whiskey or a Scotch or an Irish whiskey would not follow. Like the below 160 distillation proof, new charred oak barrels, for example, there's more.
What would you pair this Sweetens Cove Tennessee bourbon with as far as food is concerned?
I think there are lots of things that you could pair Sweetens Cove with. There are 5 different batches, so it depends on which bottle you pick up, what flavors you're going to get more than others. So I would definitely suggest tasting it first, and then that might inspire you. Maybe it's a lighter profile and you want to put it into some kind of like a bourbon sorghum vinaigrette for a beautiful fresh salad, or it might go straight to dessert.
Historically, bourbon in its true form has been more of a drink for males, but over the past several decades we have seen all of that changing. Very quickly, and if I had to nail you down for a 30-second answer, why would this Sweetens Cove bourbon appeal more to females?
I think it's got a balance of flavor that wouldn't be off-putting to, hopefully many people will enjoy it. It's interesting. A lot of people think that women prefer this softer, sweeter palate, but the organization Bourbon Women has done plenty of blind tastings, and women often will prefer the spicier profile of the sample set, the higher proof, the spicier, more robust sample. So I think women just appreciate, they'll appreciate that it's cask strength, and they'll like the beautiful, smooth, balanced experience, mouthfeel, and profile.
Find out more about Sweetens Cove, the golf course, by checking out SweetensCoveGolfClub.com. Find out more about this Sweetens Cove Tennessee bourbon at SweetensCoveSpirits.com. And to find out more about Marianne Eaves, check out her website, MarianneEaves.com. Stay with us. We'll be right back.